welcome to another episode of the EvoGen podcast. As you can see here, we're in a different scenery as always. You know, we're always bouncing back and forth. So I'm here with Maisie and Kobe, and let's dive right into it.
Yeah, so today we're just talking about why mindset and belief create our first breakthroughs rather than just seeing that monetary reward right away. So I guess I'll turn it over to you guys. What first comes to your brain when you think about where you were at in the very beginning before you made any money off of anything?
Well, for me personally, I feel like I'm a go-getter. So like I really just persistently want to get the results, and I will find any way possible to get to that point in place. But it does take a lot of time and patience, and 90% of it is all mental. I mean, I can do 100 phone calls, but how good were those phone calls, right? And how were you saying it? And I guess how were you holding yourself throughout those conversations? Super important stuff. And I like to relate that a lot to sports. I mean, you could be the biggest guy on the court. You could be the biggest guy on the field, but if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have the mentality of, okay, well, I could really do this, I could really make it happen. I mean, we've seen a lot of things in sports history where people mess up because of their mindset. So
True.
That's true.
I agree with that. I think for me, it was honestly just, you have to get started. That's it. You can't just think about it. It's nice to think about, but you have to get started. And that's probably when the first breakthrough really came through, because if I think about it, when I started at 15 years old, it was when I went to my first funnel hiking live conference and actually started playing around with entrepreneurship and was like, what would I do? And once I actually started taking action and doing stuff, even though I didn't make any money for a long time in it, it was it just felt right. And it was I love it. I felt the freedom. I felt it just felt good to me. And I talked to other people, and whenever I talked about entrepreneurship to them, they didn't have the same feeling. And maybe they tried it a little bit, and then they had the completely opposite reaction. I was always in my mind, I was like, how could that be? Entrepreneurship is the best thing in the freaking world. How can you not be an entrepreneur? But it's true. I mean, if you don't start taking action and testing it out, you're never going to know if it's for you. But once you start testing it out and taking action, before even any money comes in, as long if you're feeling happy and you're loving it, and you're enjoying every day, yeah, there's going to be hard days, but if you're enjoying the process, that's when you know that's a reward, that's a result you're feeling.
Sure. Yeah. One of my mentors always says that 80% of success is mindset and what you're believing. And I honestly feel like you have to step into that version of yourself before the rewards will follow. In the beginning, I said this 2 months ago in a group chat for a mentorship that I joined. I think I was telling someone else this. I can't remember how the conversation was going, but I remember saying something along the lines of you just got to step into the version that you want to become or that you're becoming, and the money will follow. It'll catch up to you.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like you have to create that unshakable belief and knowing that this is going to work, no matter if it takes 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, it's going to happen, and you're going to see that reward, and just hang on to that belief. I think that's where I was at for so long. Just knowing that this has happened for so many people around me. Obviously this is something that works, this business model that I've stepped into, and other business models around me, it works for other people. There's no, I guess kind of going back, there would be times that it'd be well, why not me? And you have to overcome that and be if it's happened for somebody else, it's not impossible, it will happen, and it's possible for me. And you just have to throw those thoughts away because they're not good.
Absolutely.
Sure. And one thing too that I would say as well is that there will be times where you'll need to pivot off of the ideas that you originally had, and you'd have to sharpen things. Because of course, the first idea that comes up won't 9 times out of 10 be the idea that'll really take things off, right? So it really takes a lot of critical thinking and a lot of brainstorming and challenging yourself to say, okay, what is it that I need to improve on more in whatever sector of business that you're in? And I feel like you could capitalize off of that once you find.
Well, I like how you said sharpen as well, because I mean, you don't just like, you don't take a knife or something and you don't just like do one like and it's sharpened, right?
Yeah.
You're going over it over and over and over
Yes.
again. You're feeling the fine points, you're feeling where like the nicks are and stuff, and then you're redoing it over and over again. You're taking that sharpening like analogy that you made. I mean, that's super true. I mean, you're going over and over to take out the nicks and to take out the dull pieces of the blade.
Yeah.
That was good. We should just make a book of all the good analogies that we've been making lately.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be a pretty thick book too.
Yeah. We've been saying things a lot. We've been talking about environment a lot in our past couple of episodes. I'm curious how we can tie that in on how your environment really shapes hitting that first income goal. Like,
Yeah, pessimists definitely stay away from. Another thing too is that I love people who just really give me honest thoughts and feedback, because if people lie to me, they're not really wanting the best for my business or for my future. They're just like a yes man, right? We don't want yes mans or yes ma'ams, right? So, but like overall, to really have people push you out of love and challenge, I feel like if we're surrounded with people like that, we're really going to accelerate our where we need to be at the end of the day.
I can agree with that. I think going beyond just the people, it is quite literally where you are at. Like, if you just stay in the same place you've been in, or you don't change it in any way, like if you're coming back to the same room, the same routines, day in and day out, you're going to fall back in the grooves. Like James mentioned in a previous podcast, you got those grooves that you create on a bike, or several bikes make. You're going to find yourself to keep falling back in those grooves no matter how many times you try to get out, even if it's like just out on like a daily basis. Like, you have to change everything. Like, it all starts with where you wake up and where you go to bed. And like, if you have something like if you wake up in a new environment every day, you don't have to move or anything, but change the environment drastically to the point where you're like, things become you develop a different nature in the way you do things, in the way you think, in the way you act.
Sure.
And just do that until that routine becomes normal, and then guaranteed you will find yourself becoming a totally different version of yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Even just something simple, like I just rearranged my office the other day out of nowhere. Like, I feel like I do that a lot, actually. Like, when I feel like I've like hit a wall, or I feel like I'm just like stuck in my comfort zone. This last week, I've been in that spot what we were talking about with Savannah. I don't know if our episode's out, but we were on the Uncharted podcast, which was fun. But like, I've been in the spot where I've been comfortable for too long, so now I'm like starting to get uncomfortable. So I went and redid my office. But for some people, especially if you're just getting started, that could be as simple as just like what you said, laying your clothes out for the day. What is it called? The something with resistance or friction.
Oh yeah, frictionless. Yeah, remove friction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remove friction from your environment.
Yeah, doing something like that, or putting. I don't know, I feel like most people brush their teeth, but putting your toothbrush in like maybe your vitamins next to each other or something like that. So it's like that you're like making yourself do that habit, because even if it's something so small, it'll compound into something so much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the inner environment within yourself too is super important. The self-belief part of things. One thing that I do say when it comes to like business and getting things started, like Colby said, was that like it just feels kind of daunting, and like you just don't want to do it, and it's just like, oh, there's so many steps that I have to take on, in order to get to where I need to be. But as soon as you start killing 2 steps, then 3 steps, then 4 steps, then you know at the back of your mind, well, I'm getting a lot closer than I was when I was in step 1, and dreading the fact to start, right? So it's like doing homework. It's like, you hate the idea of doing homework, but actually doing the homework is not as bad as you thought. The brain likes to like make it a little bit dramatic.
That's how Owen is when it comes to doing his laundry. Oh my goodness.
Right? Well, you have to rip off the Band-Aid. Like, it's the same thing with getting in cold water. Like, if you're doing a cold plunge, dipping your toes in and then your leg and then another leg. It's the freaking worst. I hate it. I can't do it. You have to plunge all the way.
Yeah.
Like you just have to just full send. Same with ripping off a Band-Aid. Doing it little by little, it just hurts.
Yes.
It's the same thing with tasks. If you get up in the morning and you don't just knock out the first task of the day, that's the hardest one, you're not going to get anywhere and you're going to get stuck in a loop.
Wake up and eat the frog.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and it's like, and you know, there will be days where maybe you miss a couple of things, you know, because we're all humans.
Yeah.
And you know, like sometimes we're not, you know, precisely perfect on what we have to do. But at the end of the day, like, just know that you did something, right? Just know that you won in one aspect of your life throughout that day.
Yeah, I mean, I have a habit tracker that I have like check boxes on, and I actually used to have like the app, I think it's just called Habit, I can't remember. I used to have it on an app until I made my fancy one on Notion. But I used to like to have every single one checked off every single day, and I was getting exhausted and I was getting sick of it. I was not like looking forward to doing anything on my list because it was just something I had to do. And so ever since I made this new one, I've been looking at it more of like, I'm going to check off these boxes today because I did them. And then at the end of the month, I'll like analyze and see which spot specifically I did the least or which habit I did the least and work on that the next month. And if I lose another one on the way, like, because sometimes that will happen, like you just go back and it's just it's more of like a journey than like a, I don't know, perfect to-do list. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
agree.
Whoa.
Jinx, you guys owe each other soda.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but you don't drink soda, so.
Well, I
Gatorade.
do occasionally, right? Yeah, we drank each other's water cup. We'll just say.
There we go.
But anyways, the next bullet point I have is like why consistency beats talent early on, which I feel like we've talked about like early on in the podcast, like first couple episodes.
Yeah. I guess being a hustler will outweigh being the talented person at the end of the day, because I feel like when you're consistent and persistent, you are motivated to, like I said, pivot, right? If you need a pivot, you will. People with talent, they're gifted with that and they're kind of pampered with that, I feel like. So when they need to pivot, it's a lot harder for them to do that because their whole entire life they've been praised or they've been, you know.
I would even say talent, to go as far as say talent isn't even a gift most of the time, it's actually earned most of the time.
Yeah.
Whatever we see as talent, didn't say, oh, they're just talented at that thing. They've worked at it. I mean, I have a cousin, he's an ultra marathon runner. He does over 100-mile races.
Wow.
Running. I'm like that sounds terrible to me and I'll never do it, but he didn't like just wake up one day as like a 12-year-old kid and was like, yeah, I'm gonna go run 100 miles today.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna like that's not what happens.
Sure.
You wake up and you like it starts with a mile, it starts with 2 miles. There's a book called The Slight Edge, and I highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't read it yet. But it basically talks about that exact fact, like the slight edge principle of doing little things every single day and how that compounds. And it even has a story in there of like these two kids who they had a father who was passing away, and he was like, I would like to give you guys your inheritance, but you have a choice to make. And you can either choose to have $1 million today right now, or for a month you can get a penny and that penny doubles every single day.
Yeah.
At the end of the month, the one that chose the penny is worth way more millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Over the $1 million right then and there. And it's the same principle for everyone, because the thing about talent is the more time, the more effort, and the more work you put into it, the more talent that actually produces than just saying, oh, I have this talent. Especially those who have a talent already given to them and they don't cultivate it and they don't further it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And another thing too with compounding, it's like in the beginning it's boring, right? In the beginning it's a penny, right? But then that penny sooner or later, it's only boring until you actually see the compounding effect happen, and people don't realize that until it's bigger numbers, bigger results, and then that's when it's like, wow, you know, like that's the story to tell. But
going away from talents, I feel like that bleeds into like some of the objections and limiting beliefs and things that hold people back from doing the things that they want to do is because they're so focused on the right now, like instant gratification, like this is where I'm at in the stress of the situation, rather than focusing on the long term.
Right.
So
Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm like, well, it's so much harder doing it's so much easier doing the bad things. And it's a lot harder to do the good things.
Yeah.
I feel like when it's applicable to life as a whole. When you're trying to be, I guess when you're trying to shoot for some progress, it's hard to do that. When you're trying to shoot for no progress, it's easy to do that. And it's and it's crazy because it's like, also I know that same way that there's a positive compounding effect, there's also a negative compounding effect.
yeah.
And the negative thoughts that you constantly feed yourself, or the constant thoughts that hit your brain and you let it affect you in a poor way, that is the result of what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And that gets you nowhere, and if not worse. So
I like to see it like, I love to go backpacking. That's something I absolutely love. And the thing about backpacking is, if you're not moving, you're not making any progress, right? And it's a lot easier to just like not do anything. But in backpacking, when you're like walking, hiking around, or hiking up a mountain, there is definitely a lot more incline than there is downcline. But you will have those occasional times when you do have some downcline. And it's just the same as what we have. I mean, there are going to be days when you are making progress, and it's going to feel like a downcline. It's going to feel a lot easier than ever before. But you're going to have to get through those incline days to even get to that downcline. You can't just stop and be like, oh, this is it.
yeah,
I don't want to go any further.
right.
I saw a reel earlier, like it was just like a quote or something that I was like, I'd rather look back and be like, I can't believe I did that, than I wish I did that.
Yeah.
So it like really
I like
comes
that.
down to like, do you want to wish that you did it later on, or do you want to be proud of yourself and be like, wow, I actually did something?
Yeah.
No successful line is linear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for that, and I like to go back to social media on this. I think we were talking about that in Savannah's podcast about kind of like the social media perspective.
I think so, yeah.
The Lamborghinis and stuff like that people portray. When people say that it only took them a year, maybe it did, right? And maybe so. But I'm sure if that's truly the case, you know how many times it took them to pivot off of one idea to another to finally tell you that they did it in a year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
No, exactly. I was just about to say, I mean, like with us and our new venture,
Yes.
I mean, that I feel like we're going to have crazy fast success. We already are with the development of it.
Yeah.
And with the launch of it, it's going to be fast. But how long did it take us for
Yeah.
us to get there?
Exactly.
How much knowledge do you have and how much knowledge do I have?
Exactly.
How many failures have we had collectively? Like starting at 15 and now, like,
yeah, how many
That's
questions
crazy.
do we need to ask? How many questions need to be answered,
Mm-hmm.
throughout those years? And then it just compounds, and now we know where to go to, who to call,
Yes.
where to be at the end of the day.
it sets all your failures set you up for success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that. I also have on here what people focus on that slows them down. So like,
Friends.
yeah.
Friends is a big one, and it doesn't matter if they're childhood friends. It doesn't matter if you really think they're really cool people. Friends really is the defining fact whether if you're going to succeed in life or fail. I feel like your environment at the end of the day. Of course, on top of family members and stuff like that, which I know you can't really control, especially if you still live with your family members, but for the ones that still do. But at the end of the day, the people that you hang around with, the people that you see as fun, like I see Colby as fun, and we talk about things that people that like to party would start snoring about, right?
Very true. Very true.
So that's really the I feel like the most important part is just who are you friends with, right? And understand and really break, and that's the easiest to break down because that's an external thing, not an internal thing. I
Yeah.
feel like it's really hard for us to understand ourselves than it is to understand the world around us. So understand the world around you and what's affecting you on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So
I mean, I like when you talked about focus, because even if it's not like friends or people, right? It could be if you're focused on like your college, for an example.
sure.
If you're focused mostly on that, then something else. I mean, you're not going to experience progress in that other thing that you want to experience progress in.
Right.
It's I don't know who said the quote. I think it was a very long time ago, but I've heard it repeated by a lot of individuals, even Alex Hormozy. But this is where data becomes so important, because whatever you focus on is what will progress or increase the most. And that can be used to negative or negative or a positive effect.
Yeah.
So like every morning when I get up, I mean, I'm checking not only my weight, I'm checking my bank account. I'm doing these things that put a seed in my mind that, oh, this is like the thing I'm focusing on increasing at this moment.
Yep.
Like this is my focus right now in my life. And if you don't put those things like as a focus, they're never going to increase. And you're going to subconsciously, your mind always has to be focusing on something. So you're going to subconsciously focus on the other things that may be negatively affecting you in your life. Right. I could be waking up in the morning and thinking, I'm going on social media first thing and like seeing all these people having like this success, or I could be going to like through like, you know, DMs or whatever and being like, oh, I'm annoyed with this person and this thing. I could be negative.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of focusing on in the morning being positive and focusing on what you want to have, sets you up.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. What do you think, Maisie?
I don't know. I feel like he just knocked it out of the park with that one. I'm like, I don't even have words to add on to that, because it's so true. Like, it's whatever you're putting your energy into is going to either go backwards or go forwards. I was going to add earlier, like when we were talking about family members and friends, I feel like people put like family events like over other things too that like may not be that important, but they feel like they have this obligation to do this. And so then they're like, or whatever it is, I hear it from moms a lot because there's a lot of moms in like the space that I'm in of just like, I don't have time because I'm doing this for my kids, or I'm going to soccer practice. I'm like doing all these different things going around everywhere. And it's like, but you're choosing to put that over the things that you want to do. And obviously I'm not saying like if you have kids, like put your business first, like put your business over your kids. But like, I feel like a lot of people make excuses like that because it's so easy to let the day-to-day things like take over what they actually want to accomplish. And it's so easy to write it off as an excuse of why it's holding you back.
Yep. Sure. Sometimes too, it's all about sacrifice. And a lot of people aren't willing to put in the sacrifice. Because some people are like, hey, you know, why aren't you showing up to this anymore? Or why aren't you showing up to this? Well, because I'm trying to get to where I want to be, right? And people don't understand that. Successful people will, you know, for the most part. But people that are just everyday, you know, just ordinary, you know, people, they won't really understand that. And a lot of people won't understand you. It's going to be a lonely road, you know, throughout most of that period until you find your people and find your community, and then from there it only gets better.
Yeah.
So well, I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I've gone through like a lot of phases before, like especially thinking back to when I was like 19 and first starting everything. You said something about this and it like stuck out to me. I feel like subconsciously I knew I needed to change my environment and the people I was around. When I was 18, 19, like I would like start something, like whether it was a business, whether it was even like hair school or something like that, like I'd be starting something for myself and completely like cut off everyone. And then I would like come back and then like hang out with people for like a little bit, and then I'd be like, okay, bye, see you next time. And like subconsciously I knew that I had to focus on different things than whether I was hanging out with people. And I've gone through so many phases, especially where I've like, it gets hard because you're like, wait, I'm not hanging out with friends, I'm not doing anything, like I feel like everything is like gone to shit, like this sucks. But then like you go, like I've gone and like hung out with like certain people, made plans, and like, wait, why did I do this? Because they actually aren't on the same wavelength. And I feel like now, because I was on it like 3 years ago, but I feel like now like I'm here with you guys every week. I have my friend that I'm at Pilates with like every single week, and doing things like that and not focusing on like what everyone else is doing. And so I feel like I'm not like in that space of like I don't have friends, like I'm lonely, because you just have to find the right people, and sometimes it takes a couple of years, but
well, I mean, honestly, go like for those who are struggling to do that, like just go to a networking event, and like a few of them, that's where I met Eddie. and then also Maisie.
Yeah.
And like that's what led to this. I mean, like if you go to a networking event and find somebody who has the same passion and zeal as you do, don't even have to be in the same industry. We're all in 3 different industries.
Yeah, that is true.
Completely different too.
Yeah, massively different. And so I mean, but like here's the thing though, we're accountability partners for each other in effectiveness. Like we talk to each other regularly. We say, "What's your update?" And we feel bad. Maybe you guys don't. I don't know, but I think we feel bad if we're talking. We're like, "Oh, I haven't done anything."
Yeah,
like life's just going, you know.
Right.
We feel bad. We feel that. We're like, "Oh crap! What am I going to tell my friends? Like, what am I going to tell Eddie and Maisie that I've been up to? Like, what's keeping me busy?
Yes.
Am I sitting watching Netflix? Because if that's the case, then oh man, that sucks."
Guys, you can still watch Netflix while you do it. That's what I do all the time. I'm like a pro Netflix consumer. I know that you guys might hate to hear that, but
exactly. The thing is too about that is that you have the discipline to focus on your tasks while something that symbolizes as comfort is playing. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. I do. I mean, like to admit it, I do have Phineas and Ferb in the background while I'm working.
oh, that's fire.
That's awesome. That's peak.
It's just fun. I'm like,
We should have an Evo event where we just watch Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb.
And Mastermind.
Yeah,
You got to think like them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. There's a quote in Phineas and Ferb. It's like, "Hey Ferb, what are we going to do today?" Right?
Yeah.
He says that every time.
Yeah, he
Every
says
single
that
day.
every time. So like that's kind of how it feels to be around each other. It's like, "Hey, what are we going to do today?"
I
Let's
mean,
do
you guys
something.
met up, and it's like, "Hey, we're building $1 million company. What are we doing today?" So
Yeah. So like, and then sooner or later we just bring all of us together, down the road. Whether if it's like, let's just say me and Colby just doing a venture right now, sooner or later there'll be people close to us like Maisie and others where it's like they have skill sets that we don't, that they could fill in for us to make our lives easier, but they're seeing the fruits of their labor come into play. And that's the beauty of just unity as a whole.
Yeah.
So
I agree. It's super cool. But yeah, and then going back to like the getting stuff done, like what Benjamin Hardy says, and this is what I love, is you only have to get one thing done every day. Oh, there goes our
Evo Gen turned off a minute ago.
It's okay.
it's all right. We're still good. We're still good.
But anyways, you only have to get one thing done every day, like to make real progress. Like, and it has to be a big thing-ish. Like, as long as it's big for you, as long as it's pushing the needle forward, you should get at least one thing done every day. And that's what I have in my journal. I have my number one priority. If this thing gets done, it was a successful day. And actually, I had to buy a new journal yesterday because for the first time since like my mission, I actually filled up a whole journal.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And I was like, it was such a great feeling.
And that's only been a year.
Yeah.
Hasn't even been. I started doing this journal like every single day. I think at like end of February maybe. Or
This
maybe
year?
it's January. I don't even remember. I'd have to go back to my old journal. But it was this year.
Okay.
It was
Wow.
like within the last like few months.
Wow.
So it got filled up pretty quickly.
That's pretty crazy.
But I'm happy because I journaled every single day because I made it so low friction.
Yeah, it's pretty
So.
crazy.
Yeah,
Pretty wild.
I love that. I'm curious how you guys have gone, and maybe this is something you're still dealing with because I feel like it's something I'm still dealing with, but shifting from just trying to prove it to yourself and like taking on maybe not every opportunity, but like feeling like you're burning yourself out because you feel like you have to prove it to yourself, if that makes sense. Or like maybe not even yourself, maybe it's other people.
Yeah, sometimes like for me, I get like the feeling sometimes that I'm just not doing enough, right? And like I've done these things. I did what I needed to do today for work and stuff, and the things that I'm not currently doing, I wish I could be doing. But sometimes like we said, we're not perfect, right? We're not going to be like hammering out a book every week or to read or every month. There's going to be some times where things shift and change, and we just have to adapt through that and understand that this is just part of the journey. And for me, like sometimes like I'm doing something and I did a lot in a lot of people's eyes, but it's like I just feel like I'm not doing enough, and I have to break out of that cycle saying that I did what I did that I needed to do, that was mandatory for me to do today.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think, too, on the same note, it's just getting away from maybe like the short-term results, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's breaking away from those and focusing on a long-term result.
Yeah.
And setting your goals and aspirations in the long term and saying, oh, like this week, if this doesn't happen, it failed.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's setting something up where you can really work hard towards it. And when you get to that goal, maybe you didn't achieve it, maybe you did, maybe you exceeded it, but being able to look back and like see the progress you made.
Right.
If that makes sense. I think breaking away from the project as being something that defines who you are.
Yes.
Like that's another important thing, because like all of those things that I failed in, if I let that define who I was, then it would be like, oh, I absolutely failed and I can't do business. I'm not an entrepreneur. Like e-commerce, I sucked at it. I'm like straight up sucked at it. And if I let that failure get to me, then I would say that I'm not a successful entrepreneur. I'm not meant to do it, and I'd probably be in a 9-to-5 today or going to college, and I would probably be getting ready to jump off.
It'd be a
the bridge.
weird life to see Colby in a 9-to-5.
I tell everybody,
We
if
should put you in a simulation for a day.
in simulation,
Yeah, you just go to a 9-to-5 and see how you do.
in the simulation, I would jump off the bridge like first 2 hours.
First
I guarantee
thing.
it. I guarantee it.
Bring all the employees with
I'd be
you.
like, wait, what's the upside on this? If I do this for a year, what am I getting?
Just a
All
flat
right,
rate.
I'm jumping off that bridge over there. You would see me walking out the doors and jumping off a bridge. Real
But, I
quick.
mean, look, some people get out of the 9-to-5 trap, when they're in their early 30s or mid 20s, late 20s, maybe even their late teens, earlier teens. So it just
Even
really
in their 40s.
right, even in their 40s or 50s
Yeah.
or 60s. It doesn't matter. You're never too old to get out of what it is that you want to get out of. So don't think that there's like a time trial, right? I know all of us, because we're young, we have a lot of energy. We're trying to get it quick. We're trying to get rich quick. And that's kind of what social media has kind of influenced us to think a business should pan out to be. But
Right.
that's just not how it is in reality.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
feel like I resonate with all of that a lot. And it's like, I feel like I think that's like our theme. Like you guys are like talking, and then I'm like, yeah, I've been working on that lately. Like I feel like it's like every single topic. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that. But I think that's really what the shift was for me. Also, was looking at the long term. Like what I was talking to you guys about before. There might be some people who listen. It might be a surprise for them. So I won't go into too much detail on what I'm currently working on right now. But like, taking a step back from where I am currently to like, wait, this can actually contribute to my long-term like portfolio. This
yes.
decision is going to be something that I can take with me forever if we're able to make this work.
Right.
And so I think that and just like a couple other factors it's let me like relax a little bit, I guess, because the whole time ever since I started entrepreneurship, I felt like I've had to prove something, not just to myself, but to everyone else, because I'm saying I'm doing all these things, and then I like feel like I'm not, even though I am. Like,
Yeah.
or I feel like I should be seeing results, but that's not, like, I don't know. I had to sit back and think the other day, like with my current business model and my previous one, and I was like, it took me like 9 months to see my first client when I started ads.
Yeah.
And I was like, that realization was like, whoa, okay, wait, I'm right exactly where I need to be, and things are going good. Like, it's just going to keep going up from here. And just remembering, like, taking a step back and being like, okay, we're good. Like,
Right. Exactly.
going from there.
I like that you're going through what we're talking about, and we all still are. But I like to see our 3 different timelines, because we all started at different times, and we're all going through and we're all in a different learning process right now. But I think an exercise that's fun that anyone can do right now, even us 3, it kind of relates to what you're talking about, is, and this is another thing Benjamin Hardy talks about, which is like going 10x. Think about who you want to be in 10 years. Now, make that happen in 3.
Yeah.
You're going to immediately eliminate a lot of the crap that you don't need to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to do. Like for me, when I did that, like, I was like, when I listened to his books, I was on a mission for my church. And I was like, the first thing that came to mind was like, okay, I want to be like having all these things in 10 years. Like, here's who I want to be. But then like compounding it to 3 years meant I can't go to college. If I went to college, it would take me 10 years to get to where I wanted to be.
Right.
But then I realized, oh, college is not something that I need to do. maybe it is for what you're gonna do. Maybe you are doing something that requires a degree and you can still scale it into a full-on business. But like for me, for myself, for my goals, that was something that was detracting from them. All my old friendships, I didn't rekindle most of them because, again, they were distracting from my goal. I could have gone home, I could have gone and texted all my friends. No, like that was not the answer. I could not do that. There's so many things on my list that I was like, I can't do all these things because my 3-year goal is here.
Yeah.
But
feel like
that's
you need
what
to do-
compounded it.
I need to redo that. I haven't done that one exactly. I've done like 10-year plan and then break it down to 5-year and then a 1 year. So similar, but I feel like I need to redo it because it was last January, like 2025 January when I would have done it. And I'm in like, me and Owen are in a completely different place because we did it together.
Right.
But we're such different people from then.
So awesome.
So gotta redo it.
And that's what I like about this one too, because the reason why you do this, the reason why you say, okay, in 10 years, this is where I'm going to be, and then you make it become 3 years is because then it makes it impossible. And when you have something impossible, you have to rethink the entire system around you. You have to reverse engineer it. So in order, like for our company, for an example, for us to get to 10 million was going to be, in 10 years, was just going to be acquiring a bunch of clients as we just keep going. Honestly, if we kept along our current scale, like growth that we've been doing, we could probably do it with a little extra work, but then we'd have to hire a lot of people, margins would be less, all these things, right? In order for us to get it to 3, we had to fire all the people who didn't meet a certain criteria, and then we had to focus on only one specific thing, and we had to only do that. So it's what it's doing is it's eliminating all the other pathways until you only have one pathway and only one way to get to that, and you just go all in.
Yeah.
It also gets you to take immediate action and start doing it. Because on my master classes that I hosted the last 2 weeks, that's an exercise that we did, like a dream day exercise, basically. And at the end, I was just talking about I think it's like a couple slides after that. I can't remember. But it's like, where do you want to be in 12 months from now? Well, what are you missing right now that's going to get you there? Like, you need to take action today, even if it's something small, because obviously, or you may not be at your dream life by the end of this year, but you're going to be so much closer than you were had you not done anything today about it.
Yeah,
very true.
For sure. Well, one thing that I would want to say as a side note is that I have spoken with someone who's very successful and very wealthy, right? And I've explained kind of, the wins that I've was talking about, just in the investment space and stuff like that. And there was a point in time where he kind of stared at me and he was like, so when are you going to tell me about the L's? Like, tell me about the losses in your life, like, when are you going to start losing? And I'm like, well, I have lost. I've lost a lot of money. I've done this, and from time to time, I'm still holding losing positions in some investments, right? But the thing is that, like, it's really interesting for someone like that with that type of status to ask me that question is, when will he start seeing me lose? Because that's super important. That's a super important learning curve. If there's like a person that I'm hiring and they've won big 3 times but lost 20 times prior to that, or throughout their 3 big wins, I'm gonna take that guy instead of having a guy that just won for the first time for a shot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
yeah, super important stuff to kind of throw out there for everyone listening.
Yeah. I feel like that's all I've got. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all I have too. I mean, stay tuned for the next episode. And Maisie, do you want to wrap it up, or Colby, or?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up. I mean, we don't really have that much because we need to meet and talk about events and everything, get everything penciled in.
Right.
But yeah, so just stay tuned on our Instagram, like always. Give us a follow, and yeah, we'll be posting updates there soon.